was asked to respond to Berwick as a place. I utilised a lot of the internet, did a lot of research through that, which was quite interesting because it was learning about place whilst also being detached from place. So I've used a lot of pathé footage and a lot of black and white images of Berwick and its past. So it's sort of interplaying between this documentary-esque stuff and then also my own sort of fictitious elements and reimaginings of things that, I guess, my own little daydreams around Berwick. So the Queen's gone, she's gone for a Scottish tour and come to Berwick-upon-Tweed. Lots of crowds have turned out, and as part of this she gets to meet a few of the locals, and one of the locals is this fisherman who's caught this fish. Look at how great this fish is. And then he's just like, oh no, she doesn't like the salmon. There's just this pure sort of look of like, oh well, I tried. And this sort of smile through the pain. There's something very, like, just there. Just the idea of that, just the idea that that's been sort of immortalised on film is great. Sort of all of these events that otherwise would have been forgotten in the broader expanse of history are things that I kind of try to touch upon. A lot of the images that I look at are black and white, and they're all these black and white because I think that I'm looking at, my brain's only working with values then, I'm not having to distinguish colours, which means that over time a lot of these images can slowly sort of merge together without sort of that contrast of colour and going like, well, that's green and that's blue or whatnot. It's an easier visual language for my head to get around and to be able to process into new visual images. I just love the postcards just because of the object. Like, they're such a nice object themselves. Because I look at art as objects as well. It's not just a flat surface with dirt rubbed on it, which is basically what paint is. It's got sides, it's got weight, it's got presence, and I think that I guess the way that I sort of look at paintings is there's the sort of the paint layer, but then there's also the framework that the object is also either hung off or attached to. I just love the characters because it just like that's just an amazing image. I wonder whether that's a reoccurring motif. That's a painting waiting to be made. To me, I'm sort of going, this could very nicely and very easily probably be translated into paint and work very well. Prior to painting, I'll sometimes do proprietary sketches, but that doesn't necessarily have to be visual in terms of imagery. It can also take the form of just notes or words within books or scribbled down on a piece of paper or whatever. I'll start to be able to see links between different doodles or things that will happen within the days, and then I'll take those with me to the studio, as it were. The hardest part about painting, or any art I feel, is starting, because you have that sort of innate fear, I guess, of the blank void that is whatever it is you're working on, whether that be a blank piece of paper that you need to write something on, or whether it be a canvas. I feel like that sort of routine of doing a little proprietary sketch or a scribble here and there does come in handy, just in terms of being able to get that first step going so that you can then start. Nothing's set in stone. Everything's movable. I mean, less so with watercolor, but there's no commitment to an image at this point. I can easily get some acrylic paint and go over this and then retry it again. Or I could just get a new piece of paper and scrunch this one up and throw it in the bin. It's quite free in that sense. Like at the moment, I'm not really bothered about what it looks like at the moment. I'm sort of just looking at shapes and form. I would never say that a watercolor, for me personally, is ever the final piece. I would never call these anything but sketches or thoughts. Painting is the sort of way of thinking. It becomes this act of daydream where you'd be able to put down something and eventually you're no longer really aware of what you're doing, but something's sort of playing out on the canvas and you're either responding to it or sort of going against it and trying to navigate that space, eventually allowing your subconscious to mix in and out between what was fictitious and what was personal experience and what was documented reality. And that led into sort of making a lot of these paintings that were my sort of daydreams. as it were. The show is called Hide and Seek because hide and seek is an inherently understood game. Hopefully you'll go to the show understanding that it's about Berwick-upon-Tweed, but not really understanding the relation between works, and you'll have to go there and kind of make up your own mind, really. Whether they find the meaning that I've sort of seeking from the work, or whether they find the meaning that they themselves seek, that they inherently will be able to go in with their own personal sort of background and history and be able to find a separate meaning from the person stood right next to them, something that is purely personal, is something that is important, I think. I'll start by trying to just lay out something on the canvas, and then once I've made those initial marks and these initial, I guess, broad strokes, I then relinquish that initial idea. This is the start of the conversation between me and the painting, so it's like the initial hello. I'm just sort of waiting for the painting to talk back, in a sense. So I might do things and go, oh, that didn't really work, or stand back, come the next day and say, you know what, this needs to be completely flipped or turned or whatever. And it's that sort of, once that conversation started, that's when the piece itself kind of starts to come through. I'm trying my best not to think about what it is I'm doing at the moment. I'm just trying to allow myself to sort of instinctually make these marks and not really be worried particularly about the end goal of what it is that I'm doing. Going back to the show, it's been a real help to work on multiple pieces all at once, because you sort of notice these, I guess, motifs that sort of reoccur as you sort of just go back between paintings with the same brush and the same palette. Because at the end of the day, it's all about being able to play with your process and your medium, and being able to work on multiple things at the same time is inherently, I think, quite a playful thing. You want to sort of just jump from one thing to another and allow your instinct to just take you to wherever you need to go. What's this guy doing? Is he doing anything? So see, probably go down here. You sort of come up with all of these different ideas and things that kind of subvert your own expectations, which is something that, I mean, if you can be surprised by your own work, then that's a good day. That's a very good day. Because at the end of the day, we all want to make artwork that's never been seen before. I think that's the aim of an artist, is to make something that we can say definitively, I've put my stamp on that, because I can look around now and there's nobody around me that's doing this.